Hi, it's Colette. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do the first of a series of videos called my top 5 tips. And the one I'm going to do today is my 5 top tips for empaths or sensitives. And basically this is my 5 tips to help anyone who has the psychic skill of empathy or sensitivity, clairsentience. Now, if we think of the word empathy in the real world, if we call it real, it means that you feel for other people, you feel their pain, you feel their upset, you feel their happiness, you feel their joy. It's not all about feeling bad things, you feel everything. And if you're sensitive, in the real world, it's just that you're a wee bit sensitive, highly sensitive. But in the psychic world, it literally means that you're sensitive to energy and all the energy that's round about us. So if you are an empath or a sensitive, this video is for you. Also, if you are more open in one sense, clairvoyance or clairaudience or other psychic senses, this could be for you as well. But so many people that maybe don't say that they're clairvoyant or they're a healer or whatever are still empaths. They might not have a particular skill, but they share with a lot of other people and many other sentient beings on our earth and in the universe. This psychic connection of empathy is about feeling energy. And those of you that have this will know that sometimes it can feel too much. Sometimes you feel really as though you've been run over by a bus because of it. You could feel agitated, you could feel overwhelmed, very tired, have a lot of fatigue. And sometimes it sneaks up on you, that you realise that you've not been particularly good one day and then 2 weeks later you not being very good that day. And it's like, I suppose it's a wee bit like tracing an allergy or a food allergy. You've got to kind of think, well, what happened there? Or what situation was I in? So it can take a wee bit of groundwork before you can actually say, I was sensitive to that day, and I was sensitive to it again. So do a wee bit of, basically be a detective and find out what situations you're in that make you feel incredibly tired or incredibly angry. When I was a pharmacist, I used to do a locum once a fortnight in a lovely wee branch in Lanarkshire. And I loved it, but I never really knew how I would feel coming out after a day there, because sometimes I would feel really, really hyper and others I would feel really, really low. And it took me about 6 months, but I realised that my dispenser actually was bipolar. And I was picking up on her moods because she stood right beside me dispensing while I checked. And once I realised that, I was like, right, okay, I'm going to be a wee bit more aware of that and look after myself a wee bit better. So sometimes you have to do some detective work. But I am now 20 years fully professional clairvoyant, and I've been an empath all my life. So these are the tips. I've got them in front of me in a bit of paper, but I'll need to put my glasses on. These are the tips that I'd like to give you. So let's start with number 1, which is protection. How do you protect yourself? It's an easy enough thing. Everybody in a way should be doing ways of protecting their energy. I prefer to visualise a cocoon of white light round about me, like spinning a ball of wool until it becomes like formed, and if you imagine white light going round and round and round clockwise, up and down in a spiral, and while you're doing that, you actually are giving out this energy of this is my protection, this is my protection. You'll find that it really works, but you do have to keep doing it maybe once a week or once a fortnight. It's no good just doing it and then 2 years later saying, do you know, that's not working anymore. Of course it won't work. It's visualization. It's a kind of magical experience. You have to keep on top of it. So also smudging your aura. with Sacred Sage is amazing, and I do have a video called How to Smudge, and I'll put it in the description box down below, a link to it, if I can figure that out, which I'll try. So smudge and do nice little protection rituals. Actually, I think I've got one in the Cocoon of Light, so I'll link that as well. Think protection, because if you're protecting yourself, you would protect yourself from illness. You would, look after yourself, or you would be, winter's coming. That sounds Game of Thrones, doesn't it? Right, anyway, winter's coming, so I would take some vitamin C and zinc, or I would eat lots of vegetables. Think of it on the psychic level and be prepared. Okay, so the first top tip for empaths and sensitives is to do protection ritual and protect yourself. Number 2, I've called this one fine tune your psychic senses, and what I mean by that is learning how to close yourself down. Now, anybody that practices as a full-time clairvoyant healer, medium, will do this as part of their path anyway. But if you're opening up, it's hard to know, well, which sense is working, because probably if you're an empath, it's all of them. Okay, so you need to be able to fine tune the senses, and first thing to do is maybe try and think where you're sensing things more. And sometimes it's the negative that you find with that. You maybe get a sore head right at your third eye, too much energy at your third eye. You could have a real sore head at the crown chakra. You could have really anxious tummy at your belly. See where you're sensing. And yes, it could be all the psychic senses, there's no doubt about that, but there will be one or two that you work with more, or that are more open. Now, for the third eye, I work very specifically through my third eye, so I've always opened it up, closed it down, before and after readings. I am not a person that would, be in a pub one night and turn and say, oh, I've got a wee message for you, I've got that, because that's not right. What you meant to be doing is nurturing your gift, and that means knowing when to tune it down. You wouldn't have your iPod up to 11 all day, every day, would you? There's times it needs to be off or down, and your empathic sense is exactly the same. So for the third eye, many years ago I had problems when I was too stressed. I couldn't close it down to the level that I wanted if I was going somewhere, particularly Asda on a Friday night. Not a place for an empathic person, believe me. But one of my lovely Indian friends gave me black Bindis, and they really seemed to do the trick. So when I didn't want to walk about with the bindi on, what I used was black obsidian crystal, and I just held it against my third eye for a wee while. You can visualise the shutting down of the third eye, like a gate coming down, or the sun going down. Whatever visualisation is easy for you, but find a way to shut that sense down, even if you don't want it shut down completely, to tune it. Now, when I open up my third eye, particularly when I want to see very clearly, I visualise, I'm starting to visualise it now when I'm saying it, it's too easy for this to flee up with me, but anyway, I visualise a white spiral of light clockwise going out from me, and then when I want to tune it down, I visualise it anti-clockwise coming towards me, and that's really how I tune up and tune down. So that's the way of doing it. Sometimes with the crown chakra, my husband, he sees a big sort of block of lead coming over, and that shuts him down enough. I mean, you're never going to shut it off completely, and you don't want that, but it's necessary to tune it down. Sometimes if you're around about negativity and you're feeling it in your belly, just close your, cross your arms over your belly, and that can be enough to block it. So there we go. Learn how to fine tune some of the psychic senses that are really allowing you to be too open. So that's number 2. Yeah, number 3, is a difficult one, and it takes a wee bit of a while, but it's worth doing. It's learn what is internal and external, okay? Because you could have a natural anxiety, and that natural anxiety could maybe give you an upset tummy, or it could give you a sense of fatigue or tiredness. Or you could have, any sort of medical condition, from maybe depression to rheumatoid arthritis, whatever, that will affect the way that you're feeling things. If you're in pain, you tend to be more open, believe it or not, because the pain's firing off, and you just are tired, so you can't kind of fine tune things. So there's a lot of things that are internal that give you certain feelings, but they're not really empathy. Okay, they might be empathy to your own body, but they're internal. And if you can figure out them, then it's easier to then recognize what's external. To give you an example, if I'm worried about something, and maybe anxious about something, I tend to get jippy tummy. But if there seems to be a big, maybe a big earthquake coming, or a big sense of the earth's going to be in trauma, or something that's going to be difficult in the local community or whatever, I tend to get a really sore third eye headache. Now, over many years, I've learned, oh, no, that's me. No, there's something coming. There's something coming. And it's a very, very, very good thing if you can learn to do it. But it does take time, and it's been very practical about it, getting a notebook out, and if you have a certain feeling of dread or a certain feeling of energy that's negative or whatever, write it down, put the date beside it, and then see what happens. Did you come on with the flu the next day? Was it part of your menstrual cycle? Were you premenstrual? That's all internal. Or did something happen and it's correlated with that? So please try and be very practical in understanding which is internal and what is external, and that will really help you. Right, 4, a very obvious one: avoid negativity. Now, okay, you can't live your life avoiding bad things or whatever, but you can very much cut them down. First thing is very much, I think at the moment and for the past few years, there's been so much of an increase of bad news on 24-hour news stations, on social media. You open Twitter, you open Facebook, it's all there, and we're getting fed negativity, trauma, upset all the time. Now, if you're sensitive at all, if you're empathic at all, that is just going to run you over. You'll feel you're starting to go mad. You'll feel really as though, I can't take this. Now, that's external, and it can't really be allowed to get to that level. So I must admit, every so often I take a detox from social media, and it's hard because I like my social media, but I switch off, or I go somewhere there's no phone signal for a few days, and then that's me quite happy. And I won't read a newspaper while I'm away. Yes, we need to know things. Those people that know me know I'm quite political, know what I'm into, but it can be too much when it's all bad news. And the thing is, there's so many good things out there. We just don't hear about them. It's so much easier for bad things to be reported than it is good. Good things don't get us going, oh, or I'm afraid, or I'll do what the government tells me and all this. We need to hear more good things, but we need to shut off the bad. Now, the other side of that is, what about negative people? And particularly if they're your family or something like that. If you can, and if it's valid, then by all means let them go. And I know I've said this before and people are like, oh, but if someone has been truly negative to you and they truly have a personality that drags everything down, and you've maybe talked to them about it, or you've told them the effect they have on yourself and other people, but they will not change, then what can you do but distance yourself from that person? Oh, this place is full of midges. My back garden's full of midges tonight. The Scottish disease, midges everywhere. So that's why I'm kind of having a wee itch. Anyway, so you need to be aware if you've got a negative friendship, maybe it's past its sell-by date, maybe you have to be kind to yourself and let it go. If you're in a toxic marriage with a toxic person, why? No, it can't happen. These things will draw you, they'll drain you. So I'm quite ruthless when I'm counselling people. If someone will not change and they are bringing so much negativity into your life, then you need to block them in some way. And you can start by maybe doing a clear out on social media, but not me. Keep me, I'm positive. Anyway, so watch out for energy vampires. Now, I've put a wee thing that happened to me recently. I'd been given some box sets of Game of Thrones, which we hadn't watched. Kind of wanted to watch it. And what happened is that we started to kind of binge watch them, about maybe 5 episodes over a weekend. Now, all my life I've pulled away from like movies that would not so much frighten me, but blood and gore and torture and stuff like that. I don't mind a good thriller or, even a haunted movie or something like that, but I don't like blood and gore. It's always had a bad effect on me. So I hate particularly films that are very true, like war films that, are true. So I thought, well, Game of Thrones is fantasy, so I'll watch it. And we started binge watching it every weekend. Now, from having good sleep and being fine, I started to have night terrors and wake up screaming in the middle of the night. Now, I had these when I was in my teens and in my early 20s, and very, very occasionally in my early 40s. But then they went away. And I always kept myself clean, kept my order clean, and I'm very conscious of that. But for some reason, I really liked Game of Thrones, and I really enjoyed it. But after about 5 weeks of watching it, I realised that I was just having night terrors 2 or 3 days, for the whole 2 or 3 days after the binge watch at the weekend. And I had to give up on Game of Thrones, and I didn't wanted to follow it through, but I was scaring the living daylights out of my husband. I mean, I really was sitting up in bed giving it the screaming heebie-jeebies. So, no. So there we go. That's a very sort of major example of how something that was very violent and blood and gory, and it really affected my subconscious. And you literally could see the correlation, because when I stopped, the night terrors went away. Okay, so that's my wee story. Number 5, yeah, I have to give you meditation. Now, how many times on this channel or on Facebook or whatever do I say meditation? Meditate, meditate, meditate. Right, you're going about your day-to-day business, and there's everything. There's people arguing, there's road rage, there's the news, there's people annoying you, and you're soaking it up, and you've got to walk around the supermarket, and there's energies. Or, what if you're visiting someone in a hospital and there's very sad energies? What if you work in a hospital and there's all those sad energies, tense energies, right? These are things that you can tune out to a degree, but you can't tune them all the way. And if you're there, say, as part of your job, then you have to do it. It's part of who you are. But if you're an empath, and funnily enough, a lot of empaths do the caring jobs. They are nurses, they are doctors, they are physiotherapists, they are pharmacists. They're there, so they have to make sure that when they're not at work, that they go into a very quiet, gentle detox zone. And that's what meditation is. Now, again, I've done sacred space meditation, which is an easy one, and also the meditation for the cocoon, which is about bit number 1. I'll put them down if I can figure it out. So please meditate. The sacred space meditation is very easy. It'll take you 20 minutes, and if you can do it twice a week, I'll be happy. But do it more if you can. So please talk to me in the comments below. If there's anything else that you would like to add on to this, you know, if you've got your own method for helping yourself when you're an empath, I'd love to hear it, and I'm sure some of many thousands of people that watch this channel would love to see it as well. And also, if you would like to suggest any more of the 5 top tips types of videos, I would be very happy to do them. But you know, tell me what you want and I'll try and do it for you. So all you empaths, sensitives, clairsentients out there, 5 top tips. Use them diligently. Make yourself your own project. Sometimes we put everybody else first, but if you're an empath, you need to look after yourself. You need to protect your aura. You need to know how to have control of it a bit. I don't believe you'll ever have full control of it, but I've seen people that, you know, have literally burned out doing the job I do, and I've come close sometimes myself, but I learned that there were times where I had to pull back, switch off, be it for a week or a month, a weekend, and literally zone out and meditate and kind of get my energy back to being my energy and not the whole world. So please look after yourself, and as an empath, learn, maybe this is 6, but 5 top tips, but learn occasionally to put yourself first. Okay, so I've loved doing this wee video for you, so please, again, with comments below, tell me what you think of it and the things that you do to help the sense of not letting your empathy and your psychic senses overwhelm you. Many blessings now. Bye.